Let's start this week with a little confession. I started this video intending to put glass in this only because, and I'll show you the image that I had originally intended for this project to look like. This is the view of a grid system overlaying another glass curtain wall system with the idea of creating this feeling of a wave, a curve, a curtain opening as a facade. And I had a lot of trouble getting mesh to work right, which is the original intent. So I put glass in it, finished off the project. But really, after thinking about where we were going to go with the class and really needed to do a more thorough examination of the use of glass, I really pushed myself back to look at this as a mesh project. And so this is where we are today, or where I hope you'll go. In any event, you could actually do this project in glass, and I'm not going to have any issues with that on grading. But I would encourage you to look at mesh. I worked through a couple of the things that were necessary to make the mesh to read right, and one of them significantly is just to get it lit right. It looks very flat without a little bit of finessing with the light. So this, I picked a ray traced rendering in the final example here, where we have a low winter sun skimming across the building, and we get the effect of how the surface is reflective on one side and still almost translucent on the other side of the building. So I was happy enough with that I finished off with that as in the project. So I'm going to go through details as we towards the very end about how the modeling details. It's probably important to look though first at some of the overall structural goals of the class. I'll hide the data node-based, and this is the underlying structure. And actually, there's a lot less here of work. It's only one curtain wall wave. The other one is a mirror of that. And we're going to generate that geometry by defining the top of the wall, the bottom of the wall, and then the center as a waveform. And I'll see if I can turn this waveform on just so you can see it. There it is in the curve. I'll turn this off again. So the idea is that we generate this one center form. The surface tapers from a solid line to another solid line, and the whole idea is that this bottom solid line is shortened up to kind of cause the panel system to look like a curtain opening. And then we can adjust parameters on this to control the inflections of the sine wave. And then we just mirror it over, panelize it. The other important task that we go through is the idea of creating these struts that come out of the backside of it. And those struts are a process of cutting off on a surface that you can't see here yet, or can't see in this drawing. I'll see if I can turn some of these on and make it apparent. There's the struts coming off of the backside, and they're actually pruned by a plane on the backside. Let's see if I can turn that one on. And there's the plane on the backside. So we take struts from the points, we move them through a plane, and then we trim them all to that length. This will kind of lead into a later process where we'll actually make some trusses out of this whole assembly. But that's kind of an overview of what's happening in this definition, and we'll go through it step by step. So we have a facade width, a height, podium, the height off the ground, the draw, how far back it's pulled. Up here, we make that waveform, and that's a section of video that we'll go through. And we generate the struts, the attachments back to the building. And then over here, it's really just a matter of taking the geometry, in this case up here, and mirroring it. We have to do a little manipulation of the planes when we flip it over. And then we export it. And in this case, we export the geometry of the frame as one element, and we export the geometry of the panels. And I have it listed as VOR right now, as in Voronoi, with the idea that this is either adding a glass material or a screen mesh material. So that's the overview of the project, and we'll start moving through it. You're going to hear, I've actually turned on these elements, that's why this is all dark in the background now. You're going to hear me sometimes in the video discuss placing glass instead of mesh. That's because of the structure of when I went through the first video, so I hope you'll bear with it. And at the end, I'll discuss both presentations in glass and or mesh, and you can, I hopefully choose mesh.